we're kicking off the Slowdown Season 2. It's
That's
unbelievable. We've got 10 rocking episodes ahead of us. It's been a few months since we were together with Sujewa. And our special guest tonight, Alia Lorae. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Lorae. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
However you prefer.
I prefer how you prefer. I want to get everyone's names right.
Lorae.
Yeah, awesome. Okay.
It's an invented last name, so.
Really, wait, are you saying you invented it, or are you talking about in the concepts of all last names have been invented?
Well, yes, all last names have been invented, but I specifically invented that one out of my middle name. So it's a name of my own creation.
Well, to quote Indiana Jones in The Last Crusade, you chose wisely. All right, so let's talk about a million things, because it's been a while since we got together. This is the first time that you're joining us on the show, Alia. So let's talk about why we are all here. Specifically, I know we get together, you and I, Sujewa, to talk about slow cinema each month during the Slowdown, but we're talking about a very particular film tonight, The Secret Society for Slow Romance.
Correct.
Now, you've been working on this one for a while, and it is about to start shooting. I mean, like within days, I'm thinking, right?
Yeah, within the next week.
All right, so set it up for us. I know we've kind of talked about this on some previous episodes, but it's on the verge of happening. So give me the rundown.
Yeah, 1 year after I've been talking about making it, it takes that much longer, and we're on our third actress. So this is like a, there's like a Hollywood behind the scenes type story. The previous two could not stay with the project because of COVID-19 shutdowns and because of scheduling issues that dragged on and on. So the movie is called The Secret Society for Slow Romance. I play a character named Renee. Alia plays a character named Allison. They are filmmakers. My character is like an indie filmmaker who's relatively well known. Her character is an underground filmmaker who's not as well known. They know each other from the New York City film scene. Then they decide to go out on some dates because of COVID-19 shutdowns. Nothing much else is going on, so they're like, all right, let's go on some dates. So they hang out at Renee's house, have dinner, go to parks, and also there's another plot about finding a new purpose in life for Renee. And ultimately, the two decide to launch a secret organization that ends global poverty and uses independent film to do it.
Wow. That's certainly evolved from when we first started talking about this.
That's right.
Including the whole pandemic angle. And I know that you've had to roll with some punches, as we all have, but in terms of being, the creative elements of this script, talk a bit about that evolution of incorporating the COVID-19 shutdowns and the weird world we all find ourselves into the pre-existing kind of love story that you had in mind.
Initially, after the COVID crisis began, I was going to just pretend like it didn't happen and film. But then I realized having the masks and having to cut down on the number of locations would be better explained if we worked in the COVID crisis into the movie. So we see the characters wearing masks. They may have a bit of dialogue asking about their test status. They're both negative. And other than that, there may be like a discussion about the crisis. Other than that, there isn't much of a difference from the previous version as far as most of the scenes and dialogue goes. But there'll be a lot of visuals that show sort of an emptied out New York City.
Were you collecting those like at the outset of the pandemic when everything was really shut down? Because from what I've heard from various people, there's like life is coming back to the streets, not just in terms of protests and things, but just in terms of people feeling more comfortable going out and hanging out. So were you able to get a lot of this footage earlier on, or did you grab it contemporarily, or both?
I wanted to get all the final B-roll footage around the time that we filmed the dialogue scenes. So I'm going to be getting most of those now, this coming week and the week after.
Okay. Now, Alia, you were in Werewolf Ninja Philosopher, the movie that kind of turned me on to Sujewa's work. Now,
Same.
yeah, all right. So tell me, how did you get involved with Werewolf Ninja Philosopher, and what was it like coming back to work with Sujewa on Slow Romance?
Well, for Werewolf Ninja Philosopher, I actually answered a casting call through Backstage magazine online, and I sent in one of my, I forget exactly, I think it was just a monologue I did that introduced everybody to myself and my own world. And I guess because I'm kind of also an artistic oddball, that, you know, Sujewa liked that, so called me in for an audition and wasn't sure which role to cast me in at first. In fact, I believe he came up with that role after the fact, because he wanted me in the movie but wasn't exactly sure what role to put me in. So I ended up being kind of this quirky on and off again girlfriend that sort of popped in just to spice things up. So you know, that was a lot of fun, and we filmed those 4 scenes in I believe 4 hours, because I was on a limited schedule. I had I forget what job I had to do later that day, but that was still when the world was up and moving and I had something to do later in the day. But and it was also I definitely I appreciated just my background as an improv actor a lot during that stage, because I received the script that morning.
Yeah.
So it was very much kind of having to absorb it very, very quickly and integrate just, you know, just improv into it and come up with a character that worked, and it was fun. Art was the actor who played the werewolf was very friendly. Sujewa was very friendly. It was very, very laid back, and I liked that. There was nothing you know, it was like precise but casual, which it was a comfortable environment to work in. So I'm you know, I'm happy to come back and work on this new film. It's not at all like, I never in my lifetime imagining myself as an actor thought of doing like being a romantic lead. I thought I'd play a serial killer before a romantic lead, but it's something that it stretches. It's, you know, it's a challenge, which I like. So
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to
awesome.
to it.
Awesome. Yeah, she got called in because the actress who was going to play that role dropped out the night before because they were sick or something, and Art was only available that day, I think, and I had to get the shots. So I emailed her, I think, like the night before, and I was like, "Hey, can you come and do it?" She's like, "Sure." So same thing happened this time.
Yeah.
Two actresses dropped out. I was like, "Oh, it's Alia's role now."
Well, and it's crazy how that works out, especially getting the script the same day, getting the job the night before, the script the next morning, shooting 4 scenes, right, in 4 hours, and then going about like other parts of your day. I mean, that had been a crazy whirlwind, and the fact that you got everything that you needed in that time to incorporate into the film, I mean, that's quite a feat. Now, I imagine it's going to be, well, it's got to be a bit beefier this time around because you're playing one of the 2 lead characters. You're probably going to have a lot more dialogue. Sujewa, you told me how many pages are in the current version of the script. I won't give that away, but suffice it to say, it's going to be a lot of talking. Yeah.
Wall-to-wall dialogue.
That's why I specifically requested this time to get a week at least in advance, like to get, you know, to get a script and be able to study it for a week. And, you know, that'll be good. That'll be sufficient, I think.
That will
concentrate
happen.
on it. Yeah.
No need to shoot until the actors are ready.
Now, Sujewa, you mentioned
there are
that
only 2, so
that's right.
Yeah. And one of them is the writer too. So,
Well, you still have to prep.
yes. But Sujewa, you mentioned that one of the big influences on this movie is My Dinner with Andre. Alia, have you seen My Dinner with Andre? Was that part of your homework?
I should have watched it again. I watched it way back when I was maybe right around when it first came out. I must have been, I don't know. I don't know when the movie came out.
84, 86?
Oh, yeah, I was alive already. Yeah, I must, I probably saw that movie when I was around 12, I think. So I don't have that much of a memory of it. I need to revisit it and all of the other movies and artists that Sujewa said my character is influenced by as a filmmaker. Because I received, I have some notes about my character. What I've been working with so far is that she's a very productive underground filmmaker. So my assumption is, okay, she's weird. I can work with weird.
Now, speaking of
but
weird,
I definitely have some more research to do.
well,
Yeah, she'll do well.
I just want to rewind the tape a bit here. You said that you may have watched My Dinner with Andre when you were 12. When I was 12, I was watching, I think, Ghostbusters 2 and The Abyss. Those were the big, that was about my speed. So what did you make of My Dinner with Andre? Did you absorb all of it? Or when you watched it, you just like, oh, this is a movie with people talking, or were you totally on its wavelength?
I believe, okay, so I don't remember I don't remember that well. I feel like I saw it more as a commercial for other movies than, okay. So you're saying it came out around 84, 86. So that I wasn't actually even born yet. So I'm thinking.
And Criterion re-released it on DVD.
Okay.
Maybe that's what you caught.
Maybe, because I know I saw it advertised before other movies that my parents had bootlegged on VHS.
All right.
So yeah, I know I saw the commercial, and it was kind of a long commercial. And then I'm sure I saw the actual movie. But I don't remember very much because, especially when I was younger and my parents were watching a movie, I would kind of phase in and out. So I imagine that probably would have been one of the movies that my parents were watching, and I was kind of coming in and out of the room. So going back to that, I need to do further research. I can find all of these on,
no doubt.
Yeah.
On our nice hacked fire stick.
Oh.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm wondering, maybe we should do another episode of the Slowdown or something Slowdown adjacent, where we come back and talk about My Dinner with Andre, because I haven't watched it in at least 10 years, but I remember falling in love with it.
Yeah, that's a good movie for the Slowdown. That meets all the criteria.
Yeah. I don't know if we talked about this, Sujewa, but there was, do you remember the TV show Community that used to be on NBC?
Yeah.
Did you see the My Dinner with Andre episode?
Yeah, I saw it recently while researching for this movie.
Yeah.
It's funny.
It's so good, yeah. and not the kind of thing that you expect to see on an NBC sitcom, okay, so you've got this. You guys are prepping for this this movie, this romantic, trying to save the world film. It takes place in, from what I understand, the same universe as Werewolf Ninja Philosopher.
No, it takes place in the real world.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Because I know at one point we had talked about that. That was potentially an idea.
Back in the day, yeah.
Can I convince you to put it back? Because I've got an idea. If it's in the world of Werewolf Ninja Philosopher, he's sort of a known celebrity in that universe. It's not beyond belief that people would be wearing Werewolf Ninja Philosopher masks.
Could be, but no. We will have a makeout scene where the two characters are watching the start of the movie. We'll just hear it. The camera will be looking at the back of a laptop, and then the our two characters will be sitting on a couch or on a bed or whatever. And but yeah, we'll get to hear like the first 10 minutes probably.
Love it.
It'll be
We're not
funny.
allowed to watch it. That's a continuity error right there. That can't occur.
So one thing that occurred to me when I was thinking about this movie, because there's a series of dates that your characters go on. Are you actually going to make the meals that you're eating? Is like food and cooking going to be kind of incorporated into the story, or are you just literally going to like cut to a scene where you're eating dinner and you've got the food out in front of you? Or how important is actual food to this story?
Yeah, before every date scene, we will see the Renee character getting the food ready. It'll probably be carry out, being, put on plates, blah, blah, blah. And then we'll see some shots of the two eating. Then we get to like coffee or dessert time, and then they talk. And that's going to be repeated for every date. So there'll be some, food documentary type photography where like close-ups on the food, beautiful shots of the food. That's part of the elements. One of the things I wanted to do with the movie was celebrate a lot of the regular life stuff that that's good about living, right? Good food, hanging out with someone, et cetera, et cetera. Nice shots of the city. So that'll be in the movie.
Cool. So Alia, what are you looking forward to most about getting into this role?
Just, I think part of it is I like the idea of just from what I haven't read the full script yet, but from, first of all, Sujewa's writing is always just it's just like the humor comes from just the randomness and just the weirdness and just kind of like things that you might have to rewind for a second and say like, wait, what? I didn't get that. So I love that.
Ian read that scene. Ian read the scene number 2 about with Churchill in it.
I'll
like it's so bizarre and random, and that's how my sense of humor kind of works. So I'm looking forward to just laughing as I film it and go along with it, and that I probably I'll know the lines, but it will still be new enough to me to be genuinely funny. So I like that. I look forward to, I feel like most of the characters that I've played tend to not be so positive necessarily. So I feel like this character it's like the best of me almost.
Nice.
Like a very creative, productive person who, and it doesn't necessarily focus on the flaws or the demons that this character might have, which is kind of refreshing because I'm used to focusing on the demons. So that'll be like, it'll be fun.
Well, that's nice to hear because we are in a very strange time in terms of the pandemic and politics, and I mean those things are pretty much synonymous. And we're still trying to figure out, I think, culturally in terms of entertainment, what kind of stories are going to come out of this. And I feel like we're probably going to have a million pandemic movies and TV series and web shows that are doom and gloom and kind of reflecting the national attitudes and conversations. And that's fine. But I like the idea that one of the earliest examples that we're going to have is a romantic comedy, an indie romantic comedy that I haven't read the script either, except for a couple of, very funny scenes, but it seems like something that's more hopeful than not.
Yeah, it was always going to be a super positive movie, even prior to the COVID-19 breaking out. So I toned down the positivity a little bit to reflect the current problems, but overall, it's a super positive movie about the world, about these characters, their futures, what they're doing. and possibilities. Two things I wanted to quickly add, Alia, before I'll give you the mic in a minute. In My Dinner with Andre, those two characters were playwrights. One was successful, one was not. And in our movie, we have two filmmakers. One, my character is a more established indie filmmaker, and her character is an underground filmmaker who's trying to make it into the mainstream indie scene. And Alia is the lead in this movie. We will see her a lot more than we will see my character. And so, yeah, Alia's first role as the lead in a movie, in a feature.
Good thing that my acne cleared up just
Good
in
job.
time. But something I also really like just about the whole vibe of it is just the, like, in a time which is probably going to go down in history as a pretty dark time, I like that the premise and the what's made out to be a thoroughly achievable goal in this movie is we end all poverty.
That's right.
And it's such a comically, it's like such a comically absurd ideal that, you know, obviously we'd love to do this in the world. These characters actually did it over dinner.
That's right. Over a number of dinners.
Something, yeah, exactly. So there's something kind of absurdly charming about it.
That's what the movies are for.
Yeah.
Remind people what can be done.
Yep.
So are you hoping this plants some seeds? Are you gonna start an actual secret society coming out of this, where people can log on and contribute to saving the world or ending the world of poverty?
Yeah, definitely. This movie will do exactly what the characters are talking about. The movie itself will create that process, and we'll create a secret society using the movie. It'll end poverty. The CIA in the 50s they funded through shell corporations modern art, abstract art, to fight communism and communist art and communist ideology. So same kind of thing. These characters will do same kind of thing.
What was the name of that operation? I know they love their code names.
I don't know, but I'll find it. They
Okay.
funded who was that famous New York abstract artist? I forget his name.
Can you narrow it down a bit?
There were a lot. There were a lot. Was it the guy who did the toilets?
Jackson Pollock.
Oh.
Yeah.
They funded Jackson Pollock?
They funded Jackson Pollock, yeah.
Did they knock him off too? I mean, well, it was a car accident, but now I'm starting to wonder.
No, he became a famous painter during that time.
Oh yeah, I know. I just did you ever see that movie with Ed Harris and Jennifer
I was
Connelly?
about to say Ed Harris. I haven't seen it, but I'd like to.
I only saw it once, and I don't remember thinking much about the drama of it. But what I loved about Pollock, the film, was that it really got into his process, and a lot of it was just watching him work. And I think for people who, like myself, before I watched that movie, could look at a Jackson Pollock and be like, I don't get it. You know, it's paint splashed all over a canvas. To watch him work and figure it out and create something that didn't have a quote unquote meaning to the average person. The meaning sort of is in the process of the work. And it's a hell of a film, if for no other reason than just these wonderfully shot sequences of him, creating great art.
Yeah, I like films about New York artists, especially that period. So yeah, I definitely want to check it out.
Also, Julian Schnabel's Basquiat with Jeffrey Wright.
I've seen that.
Yeah, that's a great one. Yeah, I saw that in the theater when it came out. That was the first time I saw Jeffrey Wright, and I think for a lot of people, now he's playing Jim Gordon in the new Batman movie.
That's right.
What a difference 22 years can make.
He's buried in my neighborhood, so when you visit New York in a couple of years, Ian, we'll go to the cemetery. Basquiat is buried in a famous cemetery nearby my place.
I'm relieved because I thought you were talking about Jeffrey Wright. And
no. Basquiat.
What happened? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Basquiat's another one. I didn't quite understand his stuff until after I watched that movie, and I looked more into him. So that is the power of film, and that's why I think the Secret Society for Slow Romance can work, because you plant these seeds with an audience, and it's up to them to carry on the legacy. So let me, when we had talked about the evolution of this film, last year pre-pandemic, the title change, it was initially Slow Romance, and then you changed it to the Secret Society for Slow Romance before this whole COVID thing. So how did the purpose of this secret society change, after the pandemic, or was it always going to be about ending poverty?
I think I selected having the secret society and ending poverty subplot a few months before the start of the pandemic, maybe 2 months prior, because last August is when I seriously got into writing the script. So the earlier versions of the script was just two people talking, regular, I don't even know if they were filmmakers, they might have been. But that whole save the world subplot was not there, but then some of the things they talked about kind of led me towards adding in that subplot. Some of the other movies that influenced this movie are the Before Sunrise series, the 3 movies. Also Amir Matlah's Man, which you've seen and which you like a lot.
Oh yeah.
And also, like we said, My Dinner with Andre. But none of those have a sort of a secret societies trying to save the world angle. So I wanted to make this one, sort of have it stand apart from its predecessors in a way, the 2 character movies. And yeah, so that's why that plot is in there.
Alia, you're playing a filmmaker in the movie. Now, Sujewa, you are a filmmaker, so it's not too much of a stretch to believe that you could become, the next Jim Jarmusch, say. But Alia, you're an actor. Do you have a background in filmmaking, or is that going to be part of your homework to try and figure out how to talk the talk, or is this are you looking for all that to be in the script? What kind of prep do you need to do to get into that aspect of the character?
It'll all be in the script.
Well, but also I'm kind of an all-around artistic person, to be honest. I wear many different artistic hats, and I like to imagine I wear them all well. So, I act, but I also am a music producer. I'm a singer. I write, direct, and edit my own music videos. So in a sense, I am a filmmaker. And just I did go to school for just visual effects and video editing. So
Awesome.
I do have those skills. And I did go I didn't study film as much as somebody who concentrates their life on it would have, but I did go to, in college, I had a history of film classes, which I really enjoyed. And actually, it sort of came back to me when I was reading the part of the script I was sent, because Irma Vep and the vampires and that whole, that was part of our history of film class. And I remember a lot of the earlier film stuff more than the later for some reason or another. And I'm actually, I'm planning to use some of it in the next music video that I'm filming, because I put out a new album recently, so I'm filming music videos just entirely on my own for that album. Awesome. So, I have, and I'm also a writer. What else do I do? I'm a visual artist. I'm wearing one of the shirts with my own designs on it. So I'm an artist who wears a lot of hats. So I can sort of slip into the role of somebody who does an artistic thing very passionately, fairly realistically, I feel. But
that's why she's in the movie.
Yeah, but thank you. I think the biggest difference is that this character is how I wish I were, which is having all of her concentration on one artistic medium rather than spread between 5. If I had concentrated all my artistic energy in one direction, I would have 29 feature films made by the time I was 29.
That's a really high
equivalent. Yeah, exactly. So that's how I think of it, is that the character's similar to myself, but more concentrated. So,
That's cool. I want to kind of dig into this a bit, because I suffer sort of the same thing of being a very creative person, but having a bunch of different avenues that I'm like,
Yeah.
you know, a dog chasing cars. I just like want to go after one thing and another. It's very hard to dig down. So in terms of your music, well, first of all, you gotta give me the information about the album. We'll definitely put it, if it's, you said it just came out, so I can put it in the description of this video
Oh,
and
absolutely.
promote it and all that.
It's available, please.
Cool. But in terms of like your inability to focus and chase after the one thing, is that just because you're constantly like interested in going after new kinds of projects and endeavors, or is it an ADD thing, kind of like what I have?
I think it's just that when I have an idea, I see it in 5 dimensions. Like, I come up with an idea for a character, and I don't just think about writing the dialogue for that character. I imagine I want to act out that character, and I imagine what that character's musical number would be in a musical about that character, and what the music video would look like if that were made. And then, you know, maybe tie some things to this or that historical person or serial killer into that character, and it all just sort of melds together and integrates into one thing, and then I want to draw them. So it's basically just, I might become obsessed by one idea or one character or one sort of artistic motif, but my brain creates a multimedia project around it. So it's hard for me to concentrate on portraying it in just one way. Honestly, I wish that I were more. I wish my grandmother once described me as a jack of all trades, master of none, and I had never been more insulted in my life. So,
well, maybe in a few years you might be a master of everything. So take
I
that,
like
Grandma.
honing in. Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Well, one thing about Alia, that she's very talented and very smart,
Thank you.
very creative,
I try.
and she's available on a short notice and reliable. So I like that about her. So a perfect actor for my movies, ready to go. You know, within
For
a day she
anyone's
could be ready.
movies. Yes, I have a very good memory, which is also very valuable as an actor and a biology student.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Did well in all. I tend to do well in science courses where it's just memorization.
Yeah, for a movie that has wall-to-wall dialogue, that skill will be very useful.
Good.
Now, Sujewa, we've part of the charm of the Slowdown is a lot of times it's you pitching a movie out to me that I've never seen before, and we watch it and we talk about how it relates to slow cinema. Are there, and I have a terrible memory, by the way. As I get older, everything just seems to fade. That's why I take notes during movies now, whereas I never used to do that. But in the course of our conversations about films in the first season, I don't know if we talked about romantic, like really slow romance movies. Did we cover any? I mean, we talked about some weird stuff, but was romance on the table?
No, not really. I think this might be the first official slow cinema romantic comedy. A lot of slow cinema movies are not explicitly or mainly about romance.
Why do you think that is?
Just the filmmakers who sort of pioneered that type of filmmaking. They're into like historical drama. They're into dramatic or tragic stories, not something light and sweet like a romantic comedy. But we're blending the two here. This movie will probably, if it's pulled off properly, it'll feel more like a documentary of two people hanging out, talking, going on some dates, eating, making out, and that'll be the end of it. But I wanted to feel very real, warm, fun, just to offset, all the gloom that surrounds us. But underneath that, there'll be like a well-plotted jokes and a little story. But it won't look like a regular romantic comedy, but it will have some slow cinema elements.
Cool. Now, as far as the look of it, it's something that we've talked about a little bit before, but not in a while. I know this is going to be in color, and have you been experimenting with different like cameras? I know you settled on a camera, and I can't remember the name of it.
Time to show the camera. Hold on.
Yeah. All right. Everyone, take a drink.
I got it. It's not too far away in my little apartment. New camera. This is what we'll shoot the movie. Maybe I'll get a shot of this little conversation.
Oh, all right.
Documenting everything. This is the Sony MC88. Came out last year, and now I have it.
Cool.
It's not 4K.
Well, and I heard you talking. That was one of the great things about the conversation you had with Mike Crowley last week. For you'll probably agree. Everyone check that out, and there'll be a link in the description. When you were talking about cameras and the fact that everyone's kind of obsessed with the latest greatest technology and 4K and all that, and how you don't really need all of that to make a movie that looks really good and can play in a theater.
Yeah, you don't. 1080p is still good, and a lot of people watch it at home at 1080p.
Now, that sort of brings to mind the question, given the climate that we're in, are you shooting this with an eye to it someday playing in theaters, or is this something that you think people are going to watch primarily at home? Is there a difference in the way that you approach the making of it?
No, I'm like Werewolf. I want this to play in theaters, at least film festivals, and then theaters if they open within the time frame where I'm distributing it. And after that, at home. Most likely, most people will see it at home. But I'm making it for the big screen, just like I made the previous one for the big screen. And yeah, I've been experimenting with using color. It'll be a beautiful looking movie. One of the things I wanted to do was celebrate New York the way that Woody Allen's Manhattan did. It was black and white, but it showed New York in a really good way. And my previous movie, Werewolf, I got good comments on how it showed off New York. So we're going to try to do the same, but in color this time.
Cool. Now, what's this is sort of a theater question for you. What's the scene like in New York right now as far as like art house theaters? I mean, out here in Chicago, we've got the Music Box, which is open. And like within the last couple of weeks, some of the AMC, the big cineplexes have opened. Are theaters coming back near you, or is it still kind of locked down?
It's still shut down. Everyone's watching stuff at home. There's some rooftop, some like outdoor stuff. Rooftop films is showing stuff outdoors. There are drive-ins happening. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, we're all at home watching things on little monitors.
So, if you could have your film premiere on a big screen anywhere, what would your theater be?
I mean, I like Facets in Chicago. They have a nice screen and overall, nice theater. They like my work. So any indie art house screen will do. It doesn't have to be IMAX. I'm not Nolan.
Oh, Tenet.
Yeah. We'll work in some time travel subplots into Werewolf too. We'll have Alia's character come back. She's a time travel master now.
Okay. Cool. I'm down.
Yes, you were jokingly referring that when we were kind of messaging about Tenet, and now that's pretty much all I can think of is the time travel adventures with art and
yeah, that's a real idea now. That's a real idea now. Yeah, I want to do more stuff with art. He's busy with some just surviving the plague right now and other projects, but yeah, I have a documentary idea I want to make with him about him being an actor. And I want to do Werewolf 2 with art, and also Alia, bring her character back also. Cool. And let's not forget poor Amir. He was supposed to play the lead in this one, and his movie Man inspired this movie in part, but because of the COVID travel restrictions, he won't be able to do it. So I'll do my best Amir impression in the movie.
No, actually, that's interesting. I want to talk to you about that. Taking up the mantle of the leading man in a film that you're writing and directing and editing, do you feel any kind of extra like weird pressure, or have you had to adjust the way that you think about the character now that you know that you're playing it as opposed to Amir?
When my first feature, which was a 16mm feature shot in '98, I played the lead role and directed. We shot the whole thing in like a day, like all the key scenes in a day in a homemade set. It was not a good idea. So I learned a lot. But in the current health situation, this is the least risky way to make this movie. I've tested negative, Alia's tested negative, and she
get
lives
tested again this week, but yeah.
Yeah, good.
I've been going to phlebotomy school, so.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll test as many times as needed. Make sure we're not going to get each other sick. And you know, she lives with one other person. I live with one person. So we briefly I thought about having Art play this role, but one thing I don't want in a movie that is supposed to be super realistic is I don't want to have the time crunch of having to get him out to New Jersey before the transportation shuts down, blah blah blah. With me playing the lead character, when I'm acting, the camera will be on a tripod, so all of my scenes will just be like a shot of me talking. All of my dialogue scenes. So those ones I can practice over and over at home because I have a camera, and I can get those to the point where I like them. So no, once I knew that I was acting in the movie, I had started writing it for, just in a way that I could, deliver it in a realistic way. Just basically a guy who's enthusiastic about movies and upbeat and talks about movies a lot. So that I can pull off. But yeah, I would have liked to have Amir in it or Art, but I like Alia's availability. She's flexible, so we don't have to try to shoot everything in one day like the last time I made a movie with Alia. I want this to spread. We'll take as long as necessary to get the rehearsal ready. Rehearsal done properly, and then have the scenes come out exactly as I want them.
Cool. Here's an idea for Werewolf 2. Time and space. You can cover dimensional travel, like alternate realities, and visit the alternate reality where Secret Society for Slow Romance features Amir.
Why not?
Like the version where the pandemic never happened. You can peek in on that reality.
That's right. Or another level, a movie about where Art plays a regular character, and he encounters a movie about werewolf, but in the remake, in that movie, the werewolf was played by Amir.
It's okay if I'm in any universe and I see a movie that I'm in, because according to anytime I meet any person, I'd say everyone tells me I look exactly like somebody they know. Awesome. It's not awesome. I want to be unique, but I look like everybody's distant cousin. So it's realistic that I could be watching a movie as one character, see somebody who looks identical to myself and be like, oh, whatever.
I think once we put together the character properly, her character in Alia's character in this movie will be very different from the character she played in Werewolf. They'll look similar. It's the same actress, but she's the Allison character is a very different kind of character.
Yeah, I can see that already. Yeah.
So one of the advantages of having made movies for such a long time is I can adjust to the health situation, and in a way, this might be the best version of the movie where we are not crunched by usually indie movies scheduling and actor availability because of the low budget affects it. Over here, the sets are going to be in my house, and we'll film when Alia's free, and we'll work on it till we have it right. So I think this might turn out to be a really good thing for the movie.
Now, what are you expecting in terms of like post-production? Once you've got all the scenes in the can, as it were, is it going to be a lot of, do you anticipate this being a long edit and post process, or can you work rather quickly in that regard?
I need 200 million to do, it's going to be about a temporal, pincer maneuver where
You haven't seen Tenet yet. You keep talking about it, but you haven't seen it yet.
I read all the spoilers. Where
did you understand them? Because I saw the movie. I don't understand the spoilers.
I mean, it's complete nonsense. Sure, I understood it as complete nonsense. I mean, yeah. So they'll date, then they'll go back in time. They'll date forwards and backwards, 10 minutes. No, it should be pretty simple. It's kind of like Werewolf. Dialogue tracks, some music. There'll be some shorter city shots with great music. New York has a great music scene. We'll work in a lot of different sounds of New York. I hope to have everything done by end of September, because once the actors are ready, we could probably shoot all the dialogue scenes in 2 days if there aren't any major problems. Because it's only like a 90-minute script, 90-page script.
Cool. Yeah, well, because I've been saying this since last September, it seems like. I can't wait to see this movie.
Well, we're getting close. Now you met the cast. You saw some of the final scenes. You have the final description. By the time we do the October, in mid-October, or at least after October 6th, the October episode, the movie should be done. I'll send you a screener as soon as it's done.
Okay. And I'm serious. At some point, maybe not the October episode, maybe in November, we should do a wrap party, my dinner with Andre episode of the Slowdown.
Sure.
For the three of us talking about unpacking that movie.
And once you see the movie, we'll have, I mean, there's only 2 people in the movie. We'll have the entire cast on again, and we'll talk about the making of the movie.
Sure. Definitely. Cool.
What were you going to say, Alia?
Yep.
I just said cool.
Oh, okay, cool.
Cool. As
So
they say in Community, bringing it full circle.
What are you thinking? Will I be able to portray a guy who's enthusiastic about movies properly in this movie?
That's going to be really hard for you.
I was going to say, how much time do you have to prepare for this? No.
About a week.
It'll be a dramatic tension for sure. No.
There we go.
No, I think, and having read, well, first I want to go back to what you were saying, Alia, about Sujewa's sense of humor. When you were figuring out some of the AV issues before he jumped on the recording, he had me read that second scene.
Oh yeah.
the Churchill scene. And he
It's gonna
did
be a riot.
well, he did that thing where he set it up about like how funny it is, and so sometimes that can be a trap. Like, I've got this joke, it's hilarious, it's gonna blow your mind. I'm like, we'll see. I read it and I just, it wasn't that he was watching me read the script in real time. It was, I was reading it and I couldn't help myself. It was hysterical. And I was like, no, yeah, he got me. He got me real good.
She said she laughed at those scenes.
Yeah, but I can make myself not laugh. I can like be like, huh? Okay, whatever. I don't know.
But you like the scenes, right?
Yeah.
Good.
No, it's like unexpected. I would never first of all, I would never expect a conversation to start that way. So that in itself throws you off from the beginning.
Right.
And then,
it
goes in a
nice.
different direction. Yeah.
Your character is very nice, but she's also very, unusual. She gets to the point super fast about some touchy subjects. Normally, people wouldn't bring that topic up in the conversation, but she does.
Well, I'm the sort of person who will, I'll be hanging out and I'll be like, Did you know there are 10 tiers of necrophilia? No? Okay. Well, let me describe them to you.
Yeah, that's
So I'll go that way, but in a maybe a decidedly more macabre fashion. So I get it.
yeah, you'll get it. You'll get it.
Can you email me those tiers? Because I had no idea.
Sure.
This is fascinating.
You can do that. Yes.
And
Also,
abnormal
link-
psychology is something I can tell you a lot about.
and this video will be used in court in 2 years.
Hmm.
People are disappearing in
Yeah,
Chicago.
well,
They'll never find me. Oh, sorry. No.
Now, one more thing I
yes, but
wanted
I'm
to.
so charming, and that's how I get away with the murders.
There
Oh.
you go. Actress slash mass murderer.
Actress slash slasher.
That's right. One more thing I wanted to mention. No film, mainstream or indie movie, has really talked about the tiers of filmmakers, like the mainstream underground, like the mainstream indie filmmakers that some people know, and the underground filmmakers that no one knows, hardly anyone knows. So, and that's been going on for like decades in the US, right? There's a bunch of people who are only famous in New York among underground filmmakers. And then there's people like Jarmusch that the entire world knows a little bit. So I wanted to, we'll talk about history of underground cinema and, indie film history, et cetera, in this movie. So that'll be interesting. And yeah, like for people who are into that, like all of us, like everyone who watches Ian's show, people who are into film, this is sort of a movie about movie making. So the Irma Vep reference kind of works because that's a movie about movie making also. And the second thing is, this is probably one of the first American movies, if not the first, to have a Sri Lankan-born actor in the lead role. And that wasn't even my plan. It just ended up happening that way. So we can talk about that when the movie is done and out. I hope to send this to all the major festivals and even minor festivals. And the goal is to promote this heavily like a regular Hollywood movie, but to the extent that I can do it, but do it over time, do it over like the course of 1 year, and to really get people to notice the movie. So let's see how it goes.
Well, yeah, the best of luck during this plan, because you've talked a little bit about that or hinted at some of the things you've got in mind. So I'm excited to see that almost as much as I am to see the movie, because it'll be really cool to see how this kind of builds a following over time, and hopefully it's one of the things that brings the world back together.
That's right.
It will
be like Star
solve
Wars.
poverty.
Yes.
That's right.
This movie will literally solve poverty worldwide.
That's right. And it'll be funny and good if some people really take it seriously. Like, you know what?
Yeah.
I saw that movie when I was 10 years old about those two filmmakers coming up with a plan to solve poverty. So I dedicated my life to doing that, and here we are. Some kid
And
will
then
say
I
that.
will feel like my life is worthwhile.
That's right.
Yeah.
Who knows what'll happen?
Exactly.
Art influences people.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, I want to thank Ian for paying attention to like a two-person movie, no budget underground two-person movie, and also promoting Werewolf Ninja Philosopher, being a big fan of it. It helps to have fans in order to get things done. Filmmaking is not easy.
No, and I wanted just to get back to something that you had touched on a minute ago. I'm a sucker for movies about movies, and there's a bunch of them that I haven't seen, but I have not seen a film, I don't think, and again, terrible memory, about independent filmmakers. And you kind of alluded to that. So I think this will be eye-opening, not only to a lot of people who just think about movie making as, the Hollywood productions, the struggling kid, going to LA to make it big, but also people working on more of a ground level and, with communities of people and the different tiers, not only of necrophilia, but of filmmaking. So that'll be kind of refreshing to see.
My mind went immediately to Cecil B. Demented. That was a movie about underground filmmaking that was just really wacky and offbeat.
That's a good one by John Waters.
That's where my
He
brain
makes
went.
good movies.
Yeah.
That's
my character likes his movies too.
That's right.
Hey.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, I'm looking forward to it, and I think yeah, it's going to be, from what I've read, it's going to be really funny. From the synopsis, it's going to be really special. So yeah, get to making it. Send me when it's done, and we'll talk
We will.
more about a lot of slow cinema, not just the Secret Society for Slow Romance, but a slew of other films that you've sent me in the last few months while we were on hiatus, over Twitter, over DM and text message. I think we're going to have to do like 100 episodes this season and not 10, or at least squeeze 100 worth into 10. So until next time, thank you very much, Sujewa. Thank you, Alia, for joining us. We got to come back and talk my dinner with Andre at some point. But until then, best of luck on the shoot and getting this thing done. It's a gargantuan effort, but it's going to be amazing.
It's going to be awesome. I'll send Ian and Alia your email so you can communicate about Alia's art and music. Thanks again
And
for doing the show.
necrophilia.
Yes,
And
that too.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks for doing the show.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you
Nice
so
seeing you,
much
Alia.
for having me on. It was great to see you and to meet you, Ian.
Yes, it was my pleasure.
Movie star.
Yeah, and Sujewa,
All right.
I'll probably talk to you in like 5 minutes.
That's right. All right. Talk to you soon.